All right. Hello, Dream Team. I have a couple of things to chat about real quick. I screenshotted them so I wouldn't forget. So just so you guys know, hopefully you got the email on Wednesday at noon Central, which is 1 o'clock here in Ohio. There is a fast start training. It'll be on the Facebook Live like they've been doing, which I kind of like those because they're automatically recorded and we can get to them really easily. They're easy to share with your team, all that stuff. So that's happening. And then tomorrow is today and tomorrow. It's the last day for your VIP reset. And I'm just going to shout her out because I see her little face on here. Courtney Summers hit her VIP 800 today. She got her 400, her 400 a couple of days ago. So kudos to you, Court, and anyone else working on it. Hopefully, if you guys are struggling to find like new people to talk to and you're not totally sure, like maybe there's some people that you lost track of. We talked about that a lot in last night's power plan. So if you didn't get to watch that and you want to get caught up on that, that's on the YouTube. It's on the YouTubes. And I swear, I feel like there was one more thing I was going to try to remind you guys about. Oh, our local is here in town on Thursday. I knew there was something. So any of you that are local to us here in Lebanon, we have a Thrive After 5 on the 21st, which is Thursday at 6:30. I need a ride. I'll come get you, Sandra D. I'll pick you up. Can you get in my car? You can, right? We'll hoist you up there or whatever. Okay. We'll get you in there and then we'll use I'll drop you off in the handicap lane in your pink scooter. Okay. So tonight is, I'm excited about tonight's topic. It's the overtrained and underworked. Sorry. And if you are, and I know that Lisa and Courtney are, but this is a topic that, or this is just a statement, not even a topic. This is a statement that was said on one of the 4K bootcamp Zooms or StreamYards earlier this week. And as soon as I heard Danielle say it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is a thing. That is totally a thing. I have spent the last 15 years talking to people about being overfed but undernourished. And everybody understands that. We eat way too much crap that doesn't actually nourish our bodies. Well, being overtrained and underworked can also fire back at you. So we're going to talk tonight about living in your head versus living out what's happening. So really quick, like if you think for just a minute here, are you just consuming knowledge or are you applying it towards something? So think about the last time you listened to a training. Maybe it was last week, maybe it was earlier today, maybe, whenever. The last time you listened to a training, you were like, oh, that is a good idea. Because I have those moments all the time. I listen to podcasts, I'm all the time like, oh, that is so good. From that last moment, did you implement the idea forward? Or did you just think, man, that is good? Because I have a lot of those, man, that's good moments. All right. You know me, I like to print off quotes and things to keep me on track here. So if you've ever heard the phrase paralysis by analysis, that is what happens when you just keep consuming training. It will literally cause you to stop in your tracks. Let me see. I thought I had a quote saved, but maybe I didn't print that one. Yeah. In fact, too much knowledge often obstructs progress. It makes us overthink everything. It makes us start with the wrong assumptions and it pushes our ego to the point where it gets in the way. And how often do we talk about ego on here? Action is the main tool for learning. Thinking and researching is a complementary way of adding knowledge, but action is the main tool for learning. So I equate that to, there are just so many things that maybe I learned, like I was told as a kid, or maybe I was told about in school, but until I actually saw it or I actually did it, I didn't really learn it. I didn't really absorb it all. It could be something as simple as maybe you learned about, I don't know, a war in school, and then you went on a field trip and you actually saw where this war took place. You actually saw a cabin or you saw a cannon and you're like, oh, wow, this it becomes real to you because why? Because you're actually taking action and activity and you're in this space. Shantae, she's a hairdresser. Do you really want your hairdressers to just read about it? Or would you like them to get in there and practice and learn, right? Those are the things. So we can all be guilty of taking or of learning too much and not taking enough action. So I have 5 questions here, or I don't know if they're really questions, but it's just ways to help you start to realize, are you in your head more than you are, I'm going to call it on the street? Because, that could be so much to so many people. It could be, are you doing your reach outs in Facebook, or are you talking belly to belly with people? It's going to mean something different for everybody. But number one, this is a sign. So having a lot of ideas, but not doing anything with them. So that's really the one I talked about. Like having a notebook full of notes from Thrivepalooza, that when you got home from Thrivepalooza, you put it on the shelf. Or do you have notes from Thrivepalooza that you ripped out and you have them on your desk and you were like, that thing I circled and that thing, those are the two things I'm going to focus on for the next 6 months. It's guilty. Yeah, me too. Trust me, anytime I do a Zoom with my team, it's really about me. Throughout my life, I had a hell of a lot of seemingly good ideas, but they would just remain an idea sitting somewhere in one of my notebooks. I wouldn't actually take action to do anything with them. So Pinterest is a great example of a place where we just store ideas. I have got so many Pinterest boards since Pinterest was created, where now I go back and look, and some of the boards I made, I don't know, 10 years ago, I'm like, what was that even about? Why did I even have this board? Why was I collecting these ideas? Now, with that said, a lot of people will maybe pin a recipe and they'll make it. That's taking the education and implementing it into action. But there's a fine line. Like, you just have to ask yourself, how often am I actually taking action? Or do I have a bunch of ideas, a bunch of notebooks, a bunch of Pinterest boards, and I'm not doing anything with them? Am I using the time on Pinterest or the time taking notes almost as a distraction? Because if I keep listening to these good ideas, it proves that my current idea is not good enough. And I just have to keep getting better ideas, because how dare I do something which is better than nothing, but it not be as great as the thing I saw on Pinterest, or the thing I heard at Thrivepalooza, or the thing that I listened to on the YouTube, right? Are you following me? How your brain like starts to overthink it and you start tearing yourself down? Do you start a lot of projects, but not finish them? So this guy was like, throughout my life, I had a lot of ideas of starting projects. I would research them, I'd plan them, I'd even start working on them. And then I would get bored and I'd quit. And I would go on to my next idea. That happens to all of us. I'm just going to call myself out. I don't know why I do this to myself, but I just come on here every Monday and just embarrass the shit out of myself. Do you guys remember the training? I'm so sorry. The training that Samantha did about her binder? Okay. I went to 4 stores because I couldn't find a binder that was cute that I wanted. I finally settled on this binder. It's not even cute. Maybe that's why I don't like it. I loaded it up. I have never used it. When I say I went to 4 stores, they weren't like one shopping plaza and I went in and out of 4 doors. I got in and out of my car and drove around. Gas is only like $12 a gallon. I have plenty of time to drive around. You can't be done already. Hang on, we got a popsicle debauchery. You're okay. Keep eating your popsicle. It's a beef broth popsicle. So anyway, so yeah, hello. Was this overthinking it? I was just immediately like, her binder is incredible, and that would be so helpful for me, and I should totally do that. But in reality, the calendar that I carry around every single day is still the calendar. I thought, oh, it fits perfect in the binder. Like what? It fits perfect in the binder. Oh, yes. It has not been in this binder since day one. I mean, it was on day one. I put it, I was like, look, it fits. And then it came out so I could use it. And then I never used this binder again. So again, I heard an idea. Now I will give myself credit. I implemented it, but it didn't pan out for me. It wasn't the right plan for me. So I did learn something there, but are you following my drift? Like, how many times have we done that? But then we lose it. Oh, well, number 3 kind of calls me out again. Spending a large chunk of your time researching. I literally drove to 4 stores. Let me tell you again, I drove to 4 stores for a binder. I bet I have plain old white binders laying around in this office, but that wasn't going to do. Hers was cute. Remember how cute Sam's was? I wanted a cute one, damn it. Shantae says guilty. I bought a happy planner and I hated it. Yeah, I get it. Number 4, here's one that will get all of us. Avoiding getting any feedback. So the gentleman says, sometimes I didn't share my ideas with other people. I told myself that I was afraid of them stealing my ideas. Deep down, I always knew that it wasn't the reason at all. I knew that nobody would steal my ideas. I was just scared to put myself out there and get negative feedback. So how many times have you had an idea and you're like, I think this would really work for me, but you don't do it because you're like, it's not as good as the idea I saw on the Zoom. It's not as good as this. It's not going to work. What if I fail? Oh, Sandra went to 2 stores. Thank you for making me feel better. Yeah. How many times are you just afraid of getting feedback so you don't even put your ideas out there? And I will tell you, like, when I first read that one, I was like, oh, that's not me. But if I really sit and spend time with it, I'm sure I've had ideas. I know I've had ideas that I haven't shared with the world or even our team or whatever, because I thought in the moment, it's probably not good. It's probably not going to work. We'll just let that die, versus throwing out the idea and getting feedback, because maybe it was a brilliant idea, but you won't know because you're hanging on to it. And number 5, and we're all guilty of this, are you constantly giving in to distractions? He goes on to say, one of my biggest problems used to be that I couldn't commit to any projects. I would just constantly get distracted by another shiny opportunity that was coming up. I told myself that I would use these opportunities to finance the main project, but the truth is they mostly made me quit my main project altogether. So again, I always, I like to try to bring it back to our day job. I have been guilty of being like, okay, I need a quote for the day. I've got to go find a quote. Like, I need some inspiration for a Facebook post. And I just did this the other day. I went into Google and I found some, but then I went to Pinterest and I found some. And I said, none of them were really like what I was looking for. I didn't think they were that great. But while I was in Pinterest, I saw this recipe for a gluten-free something or other. So I had to save that to my board, right? And then I found a stretch for carpal tunnel, and I pinned that to my board. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh crap, I have to leave in 2 minutes. I have to pull a quote out of my ass and make Facebook posts. Just totally binging on the. Don't you guys love getting a little inside scoop of how my brain works? So the distraction. So here's the thing. Those 5 things: having lots of ideas, not doing anything, starting projects but not finishing them, radar, spending a large chunk of time on research, avoiding feedback, and constantly giving into distractions. Those are just red flags for you to know, like, hey, I'm in my head. I'm spending a little bit too much time. Yes, down the rabbit hole. Spending a little bit too much time in my head. What can I do to get out of my head and move forward? For me, when I get in that moment, and I get in that moment a lot, I've just admitted several of them to you in the last 10 minutes, I will get up and make myself do something. It could be something as simple as I'm going to load the dishwasher, or I'm going to put a load of laundry in, or I'm going to send out an email. But I make myself stop thinking and do. And that's tricky, because I could be like, well, I'm going to stop thinking about this binder and I'm going to go to the store and get it. Right. I mean, I knew by store 3, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, this is way too much time for a binder when I'm sure I have a binder at home, but none of them were cute enough. It's bad. So when it's happening, but you have to stop. You have to stop and make yourself move forward. I want to actually wrap this, bring it back a little bit to the last week's conversation. And hopefully all of you had a chance to either be on it or follow it on the YouTube. We were talking about how we would have talked to ourselves as a little kid. Right. And that's where the conversations went. When I was traipsing as the small child through all of these stores, wanting to have a super cute binder because Sam had one and I want a cute one too. My adult voice was like, good grief, you have a binder at home. But then my little girl was like, no, I have a job and I have money. I'm gonna buy myself a binder. Then my adult's like, you don't need this. Why are you doing this? I mean, now looking at the fact that I have a binder that I don't use, I'm like, damn, I maybe should listen to that adult and stay at home. But it's just a matter of the conversations that we have in our head. And anytime you overtrain, you're going to start overthinking. So remember, as much as it is very important to hop on the Zooms when you can, hop on the lives when you can, and notice I'm saying when you can. And I'm not, oh Lord, somebody just ate their bowl. Hey. Oh, you just broke your new bowl. Get a dog, they said. It'll be fun, they said. All right, we're going back to the more expensive but throwaway cups for the ice cream bowls. Anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about now. I just heard it crack and I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna eat a bowl. So think about how often you have stopped yourself from writing a post, sending the message. How often do we stop from sending the message? Because we saw a script that somebody used and we can't remember exactly what it was. And we're going to go find that. We got to go find that before we can send a message. Okay, do you still have, oh, he still has part of his bowl. Hey, what, get out. Oh, Diesel, you are high. Courtney, come and get your dogs. Come and get your dogs, Courtney. So yeah, like I have been guilty of not sending a message because I'm like, well, I don't know exactly where that was and I wanted to use it. And if I don't, on my way, you better be. And I'll do it after work. I'll do it later. I'll do it after lunch. I'll do it after blah, blah, blah. And then I don't send the message because why? Because I was worried it wasn't going to be the best message. It wasn't going to be the one I learned about on that training. And what if it backfired? You guys, and I think most of you know this, the training that we have, even through corporate, people are just guessing and learning along the way. People are just, I'm in your brain right now. Well, now you know how similar our brains are. People are just learning along the way. There are people who had decades of sales training, decades, and it worked. But then the internet happened. And basically everything that they knew changed. Right? Think how different being a promoter would be if you didn't have social media. Right? It's a whole other world. So now you got these people who are like, okay, we know how to use Facebook for business. Well, along comes Instagram. Now we got freaking TikTok, right? So it's just a constant learning game. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn from other people because obviously you can learn a lot from other people, but you have to take everything you're learning with a grain of salt, especially if it's coming into sales into the year 2022. Also, how many of those people who had decades of sales training lived through a pandemic? A few maybe, but those people probably weren't still training about sales, right? So again, all uncharted territory. So yes, when you learn something or you hear somebody have a great idea, it's a great idea, but don't let that idea stop you from moving forward because you don't remember exactly how it was, what you were supposed to do. You're not sure if that's a great idea, but you're not sure if it's going to work for this person. You just have to focus on moving your business forward in any way, shape, or way you can. But how do we move forward? We have to put one foot in front of the other. You all learned how to walk a long time ago. I mean, Sandra's going to have to relearn. As soon as I said it, I saw your face. I'm like, well, she'll have to relearn. But you already know how to put one foot in front of the other. So you already know how to move your business forward. Don't let the rest of this stop you from doing what you already know how to do. Let it enhance it. Let it help you. I mean, think about this like on your day-to-day basis. We all know how to make pancakes, right? Pancakes are great, easy peasy. We all know how to make them. But then one day you go to your friend's house and their mom puts blueberries in their pancakes. Well, that took it up a whole other level. But you didn't like stop doing what you were doing and be like, we've been making pancakes wrong this whole time, right? You just learned a new way. So don't stop what you're doing. Don't stop what you already know. Don't ever put your work after your training. If you have 30 minutes in your day and that's all you have to work your business and you log on to a Zoom instead of working your business, that's backwards, right? That's the overthinker. That's the overtrained and underworked. I would much rather show up or have you show up to a Zoom, having already completed your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, dirt in your eyes because you've been working all day, and then be like, oh, that was a great idea. I'll do that tomorrow, but I've already got my work done today. Do you see where I'm going with that? Like you already know what to do. You're just going to use these trainings to enhance what you know how to do. So you're not going to remember it all. But hopefully, if you are taking time to take notes or to listen to it, you're going to then implement what you're learning. And again, this is just a little peek into my day. If I'm listening to a podcast or a Zoom or a YouTube or whatever, when I'm driving, doing laundry, taking a walk, all that stuff, I am just listening to it. I am letting it fill my cup. I'm letting it get me excited about something, motivated about something, inspired about something. maybe learning a little something. I'm not taking notes. I'm just letting it fill my cup. And that is something we should all do. So maybe you're listening to music that fills your cup. Maybe you're listening to a devotional, or maybe you're reading something that's filling your cup. But when I sit down to maybe like the Lunch and Grows, or I sit down to a power plan, or like the power hour, a pen and paper, I'm ready to go. I'm learning and I'm working. That's a very different feeling. So I probably only hardcore do 2 trainings a week. I'm constantly filling my brain with good stuff, constantly keeping myself uplifted and keeping my cup full so I can then pour into other people's cups. But I'm not stressing myself out all day being like, well, I've got to stop what I'm doing and write down this note. No, I'm just filling my cup in my open time. I call it my open brain time. If I'm working face to face with a client, I can't think about anything else but that client, right? Shantae, when you're doing someone's hair, you can't stop what you're doing when you like accidentally dye it the wrong color, right? You got to do it right. You're with that human. But when you're doing laundry, which is a no-brainer, or you're mopping the floor, which is a no-brainer, you could be listening to things and learning, but you're only going to absorb so much. So I say pick 1 or 2 things a week to truly learn from, to truly take something away. And you guys, I know right now there are people on this screen that have notebooks with notes from Thrivepalooza that they haven't seen since. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe you put in your calendar on Wednesday for 20 minutes. I'm going to go through my Thrivepalooza notes. I'm going to jog my memory on what I learned there. What was so good that was said that I took the time to write it down? Must have been good if you took the time to write it down. You know me, I don't take notes. So it doesn't always have to be that you're constantly learning something new. Maybe you just need to keep learning one thing until you master it. Like, so Sandra was a kindergarten teacher. Just because they learned their ABCs didn't mean that she totally like sent them into sight words the very next day, right? You just keep practicing your ABCs. Just because you learn math, you just keep practicing. I snapped pics of the screens. Oh, Shantae, yeah, I have I'm so glad you said that. I have a phone full of pictures from the San Diego leadership thing. I've never looked at them since. When I'm scrolling through trying to find a picture to use for a Facebook post, I'm like, oh, I'm so annoyed. They're in the way. No, I've never looked at them since. So I think you're going to do better. I know if anything I have said today, you're like, yeah, that's how my brain works, then I'm going to throw this out for you. Pick 1 or 2 things that you want to focus on, and focus on them hardcore for the next 3 to 6 months. If you want to become the birthday reach out specialist, focus on that. If you want to become the sampling queen, focus on that. Don't put pressure on yourself to focus on samples this week, and then you heard somebody talk about a birthday reach out. So this week you forget all about samples and now you're worried about this. Don't do that to yourself. Learn, let it come in. It can do its thing, but stay on task. That's why I purposely did a month-long promo just around samples. Because if I change the promo every Monday or every Tuesday or I'll be all over the place. First of all, trying to keep track of it. But I want everyone to stay focused on one thing. I mean, I say this all the time, but like when you look at advertising from big companies, they don't go all over the board. They just keep pounding you with the same thing. They might throw a sale in there every blue moon, but it's the same thing you've been looking at over and over and over, because the more that gets in your brain visually, auditory, it'll seal the deal. So if you want to become the sampling queen, only listen to trainings about sampling, only spend time going through your notes about samples, only, focus on your calendar to be talking about samples, to be sharing samples, to be showing samples. Get real specific and you'll do so much better. It's like when they tell us to niche down, which we all struggled with. That's the thing. If I go on my Instagram story today and I'm like, oh, samples, and the next day I'm like, oh, 1 month for $50 off. And then the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, rest gel. People are going to be like, does she work at Walmart and does she literally sell all this shit out of her house? Right? They're going to be very confused. I've said this for a long time. I only share my capsules every single morning on my story. I don't go into the shake and the DFT every single day because I think that gets confusing for people. You guys all know what I'm doing. You all know what's happening, but somebody watching is going to be like, damn, every day I turn around, she's doing something else. How confusing. How do you keep track of that? I can never afford it. Like they start filling their mind, right? It's the same thing with you. If you're constantly trying to train about customer retention, and then you're going to train about samples, and then you're going to train about the cloud, you're going to be all over the place. So go back through things that you're like, that was a great Zoom. Like if I tell you something's a great Zoom, I've listened to it 4 or 5 times, maybe even more. Because if it's great, I really want to hear it. I want to hear it again. I want to absorb it. I want to bring it all in. I want to think about it. I want to marinate in it. I want to become whatever I learn. If I'm like, oh, I heard that one, it was a good one. I heard it. I moved on. I probably changed the laundry and went about my life, right? So pick what you want to be good at. I would say pick what you're challenged with and start studying just that. Just learn that one thing. But remember, just because you read about it doesn't mean you've learned it. Read about it, implement it. Listen to something about it, implement it. Watch something about it, implement it. The more you practice, the better you will get. You guys all know that. I'm looking at people on here who are either teachers or moms or aunts, or I mean, we all know that the more somebody practices something, the better they get. So keep that in mind when you're learning for your business. Don't drive to 4 stores looking for a damn binder that you're not going to use. So think if I worked at Kings Island, they make $15 an hour. I just had this conversation with my friend. Her son makes $15 an hour at Kings Island. I probably wasted $30 of income, and God only knows how much gas I wasted looking for a $6 binder. Not a good business move, not a smart business move at all. Definitely the move of an ADHD girl, having trouble focusing. So catch yourself in those moments. Give yourself grace. Be like, you know what? We learned about this. It's a red flag. What do I really need? What did I really need? When I wanted that binder, what did I really need? I wanted to be as organized as Samantha. That's what I wanted. And I thought that was going to come magically from a binder. Sandra says, I know exactly what my 2 things need to be, and you've reeled me in. Oh, one of them isn't going to be a ton of fun. I know those are, but the good ones are the hard ones probably. So stop yourself when you're all over the place. What is it I really need? When I'm like pinning gluten-free recipes left and right, what is it I really need? Well, I'm probably looking for something gluten-free that's going to taste like something that has gluten in it, because I probably got a sweet treat. Like, I've got a craving, right? If I'm pinning house, like, I get in these phases where I just pin nothing but like decorations or living room layouts. It's because I'm craving home time and coziness. So when you get in those things and you're not absorbing, you're just thinking and moving on. What do you really need? What do you need in that moment? The 2 hours I spent looking for that effing binder, I could have mapped out my entire calendar, right? So redirect. When you get into your head, redirect yourself. Remember, you already know what you need to do. You know how to put one foot in front of the other. You know how to be a promoter. All of you on here are promoters. How are you promoting? You use a product and you talk about it. That is literally our job. We like to make it really complicated and hard. It's not. I hate to break it to you. It's not. So that's all we have to do. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you guys. I know that we talk a lot about training, and I think it's good to stay close to the fire and keep your brain in that space. But it's one thing to keep your brain in that space and be motivated and fill your cup. And it's another thing to be like, I got to learn this, and I got to do this, and I got to be great at this, and now I don't even know what to be great at. And now I'm not great at anything. Because that's where our brains go. Because you're all great at something. Courtney is amazing face to face. I love watching her around people talk about Thrive, because Sandra, you're the same way. Shit, Sandra had the guy cornered on the airplane and the taxi. Like, I love watching that. You're all good at something. So let's think about 1 or 2 things that maybe you're not great at, and let's focus on only actually learning and training and practicing that, so that you're not overtrained and underworked. You're going to get trained just enough, and it's going to turn into actual work that will produce results for your business. So, okay. I hope that was helpful. I'll see you guys next Monday. Bye.